Hi guys, this is Zangiefsgym here. This is Timothy, and I'm doing this video on how to fight Menat with Zangief, and this is 0.3 in the series. So this one is talking about standing light punch with and without the crystal ball. So that's what Menat is gonna do. So her light punch with and without the crystal ball. So we're gonna look at the frames on it. We're gonna look at the distance on it, the range, how far it goes, and then we'll look at some personal applications. When is she actually going to use this attack? And then a couple of things we can do, maybe to guard, block, or punish that. Okay, so first let's look at the frame data on that. Her light punch. Okay, let's go back into the training mode here, and okay, so I already got her recorded. I'm gonna have her, yeah, let's have her play back. In the first slot, I've got her just hitting. Okay, so she's just gonna literally throw that light punch, standing light punch. That's all she's doing. Now she's got the ball. You can kind of see the range on it, right? If I'm right here, I'm safe. That's not gonna hit me. If I'm moving just a little bit, that's gonna hit me. What does it do when it hits me? So the light punch. Menat's light punch with the ball knocks back. Now I don't know if it does without the ball. We'll find out in a minute. But with the ball, it knocks back. It's important to notice that, because if you're close and you happen to be, I don't know, maybe you just jumped her ball attack and you just landed in front of her. She does a light punch instinctively because she sees you close, and that makes sense to her. So she does that attack and then knocks you back a little bit. That doesn't do a terrible amount of damage, but it does knock you back a little bit, which might make it harder if you're trying to close in. She may also do that as part of a combo, but I'm not going to get into combos here. Light punch with the ball, okay? You see the range on that, okay? So that's fairly good. She can do the startup of 5, only a startup of 5 frames. And she's got good range on that. Okay, so let's turn that off. Let's do the second one. What was the second one? I think I had her. Oh yeah, she dashed in and did it. So you can just see if she dashes in and then dashes back. Okay, so she dashes in and does it. That's fairly quick, right? That moves pretty fast. So if she's dashing around using this, you know, it might make it a little bit harder. You know, whatever, but you kind of see the range on that anyway. Okay, so enough of that. Let's see, what did I want to talk about? Point. Okay, yeah, I got her like recording to jump and do it. But anyway, you get to kind of get a feel for the range. So you might want to do that. Take her in practice mode. Just have her throw around light punch a little bit. You get the feel for the range on that. See where you need to block if she does that, and where you need to, if you know the position Zangief's in. You know, obviously, let's see. If she's out there, I don't need to block that, don't need to block that, don't need to block that. Now I need to block. See? You need to know the difference, like when you need to block. Now I need to block. Now I need to block. She's close enough where she's too far away. So you can kind of get the feel for the range on that. The range is kind of important. Now just for the sake of it, while we're talking about range, let's go ahead and have her, I'm going to have her ditch the orb. Okay. I set number 5. Just so if you guys are wondering, you're doing this in a training mode. You could set like recording slot 5 to be the that's actually a quarter circle forward with the punch button. She'll throw the orb out. I did the light punch. She'll throw the orb out, and then that's all you have to do is record that and turn it off. And then whenever you basically want her to throw the orb, you just have to come and turn it on, and she'll throw the orb. Then come back in the menu. As soon as she throws it, come back in the menu, because what you want to do is you want to leave it off of her. See, now it'll stay there, and now it's not on her. So now we can find out what she does without the orb on that same light punch. Now let's see what she does. Let's see how range. Look at the range on that. Almost nothing. Literally almost nothing. So when is she? When is the light punch? When is Menat going to use a light punch? Assuming that she knows, the player knows her own character pretty well. If the Menat player knows their own character, they know that the light punch has terrible range, right? It doesn't have very good range, but it's also very fast. We also looked at the frame data. It's only 4 frames to start that move up. Zangief only has a 4-frame startup on 2 moves, and that's his crouching light punch and his crouching light kick. So they're the only 2 moves that start at the same speed. and we get substantially better range on the crouching jab. That's why that's probably one of his overall best normal moves that he has. But Menat, okay, so her very light range on that light punch. Okay, so what's the takeaway here? When is Menat going to use that light punch? Well, she's not going to use it when I'm far away, right? Because she knows it doesn't have much range. She's going to use it when I'm close. Unless she has the orb, then she can get a little bit more range, but she still doesn't have very good range. Good range for a light punch, yes indeed, but not very good range if Zangief is halfway across the screen and she'd like to keep him there. So when is she going to use the light punch? Since how this video is about the light punch, she's going to use it when I'm in on her, right? If you're Zangief and you jump in on Menat, or you dash in, or you block, and you walk your way in, either way, when you get this close, she's getting scared. She might try to grapple you, but you know, you might be ready to. She might assume you're already going to try to do that, and we know that a punch beats a throw. So her punch is going to be a good way to deal with you at this close range. Remember, with the orb in her hand, it also has knockback properties. I don't know if her actually I didn't test that. I don't know if her normal punch knocks you back as well. Let me not dodge it. Yes. So the answer would be yes there. It does knock you back every time with Menat. Her standing light punch will always have pushback effect, which is not always true with some characters, because like well, Zangief does too. Okay, so maybe it is global. I'm not entirely sure on that. I can't answer that. But either way, hers does pushback. So that's something to keep in mind. But the range isn't very good if she doesn't have that orb, right? Okay. Now, she's already unarmed. She's got the orb. I don't even know where it is at this point, but it's somewhere on the screen. Okay, now without the orb, like I just said, when is Menat going to do this light punch? She's going to use it when you're close, right? So how can we counter that? The only way to find out, or a good way to find out, is if you come in here in the training mode, right? This is a good way to practice this. Put her on guard all, and then go to record guard recovery actions. I've already got the first slot recorded, so I'm not going to do it here. But you can record a slot for her to do an attack as soon as she guards one of your attacks. So what you're doing here is you're setting her up to counterattack you. So basically, I hit her and she counterattacks with this light punch. It doesn't matter how I hit her, she's always going to counterattack with that light punch. That's what I've got her set up on. That's action number 1 that I've put into place. She's going to counter me with the light punch. And since we're doing the light punch today, that's where we're going to leave it. I'm not going to do anything else because that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. So she's going to counterattack anything I do to her. And I've got her set on guard all, so she won't miss anything. Every single attack will be blocked. That is standard attack, not throws. She's not going to block throws. But okay, now I've got her back in the middle. That's what I want to do. Okay, so what we got to do is we got to see what can we punish. What can Zangief do to punish her? Well, so the first one, I'll just point out the obvious. Actually, I'm going to get on this side of her. I'll just point out the obvious, right? Oh, I forgot to do that while I was right there, but that's okay. We'll go in here. We'll have her play back that punch again, right? So what can we do? Well, she has terrible range, so the obvious thing to do is take advantage of Zangief's range. That's a standing medium punch. That will counter her. She doesn't have good range. Again, this is without the crystal ball. I don't know about with the crystal ball. That might not reach her. It might be a trade, which means that we hit each other. But you know what? Even if it is a trade, because she's doing a light punch, we're doing a medium punch, by default, the strongest button wins. So a medium punch is stronger than a light punch. So the stronger button wins every time. So if we do get a trade, if she has that ball in her hand right now and we get a trade on the medium, Zangief's medium punch and Menat's light punch with the crystal ball, and we get the trade up, we both smack each other at the same time, then what happens is Zangief wins because he's doing the medium punch, and medium punch is stronger than a light punch. So I just want to bring that to your attention, and something worth talking about. Okay. But okay, so one we encounter is with a medium punch. It looks like we're definitely going to be safe. She can't reach us. But for me, the clearly obvious one, a little bit slower, is going to be the standing strong punch, the standing strong jab, which is going to be, in my case, R1, which is default settings. That's a heavy punch. Standing hard punch is a perfect counter, whether you just tap it or you hold to the very end. You get different results, because if you just tap it, she'll get knocked back a little bit. If you hold it, she's going to the ground, because that really hurts, right? So standing hard punch is a great way to counter it. Just be aware though, if she, because she's so quick, she could dash in, but we do get upper body armor at frame 3 on the standing hard punch. That's the that's why I like that move so much. But anyway, we're not going to go into that here. I want to stay focused on Menat. I want to stay focused on her light punch attack. So we can counter it by staying out of range and using medium punch, using heavy punch. You could do medium kick as well, reaches it, heavy kick of course. So basically the mediums of Zangief's medium moves are safe against Menat's light punch. Okay, her light punch without the crystal ball, and for argument's sake, let's go ahead and have her retract that crystal ball. I want to make sure we want to double check that. Okay, so make sure that is really true. Okay, she's gonna do the light punch with the crystal ball now. We're gonna see if we can counter her. So actually the range, I can't hit her with the medium punch, but she can hit me. Okay, if I get close enough to hit her, then I'm already well in range of her to hit me. She can't hit me here, but I can't hit her either. In fact, but you can clearly see we're falling short a heck of a lot more than she is. She's touching my chest pretty much with that crystal ball. We're not even hitting her hand barely, and we're not going to, because our hit goes underneath her hand anyway. Because of the way that this medium punch works, it actually strikes downward at a downward arc. So we're gonna miss Menat, and she's gonna hit us if we try to get too close. So how are we gonna dodge? So when Menat does not have the crystal ball in her hand, you're safe to hit mediums. All the mediums work perfectly. Even the medium punch will hit her just fine without any fear of us being hit. But if she has the crystal ball, the only way you're going to win with the medium punch is if you get your timing right. And so if she goes, and then we go, and then she goes, and then we go, whoops, she goes and we go. We have to basically walk in and hit her and then back off. Walk in and hit her and back off. But that's only because that medium punch actually has such a nice little knockback that we're actually safe. So that would be the takeaway. You're not going to be safe with the medium punch, standing medium punch with Zangief against her light punch. You're not going to be safe unless you can get the preemptive strike. If you have a frame advantage, if you walk into a situation where you have a frame advantage and you get the first move, it's your move, you can hit her with that and knock her back a little bit. Also be aware you want to be walking back as you're going, because if she throws that right out, she will catch you with it. So as a general rule of thumb, because this is her light punch, we know by default that's also going to be the weakest range, right? Because if she does a medium punch, the range is going to be even further. So as a rule of thumb, the medium punch, if she has the orb, the medium punch is going to be situational, and so you're going to need the standing hard punch. You're going to need the standing hard punch to pretty much outdo her on range. And then even if she goes up to, say, a medium punch, which has further range. In fact, I believe the medium punch comes all the way out here, somewhere out here. It has pretty decent range. That standing hard punch is going to be good, because that standing hard punch gives us upper body armor on frame 3, I believe. And so that way, by the time she actually gets to start up and hits us, we're already in that armor. And then when we release it, we can hit her. even if we just tap and don't hold it, we still have armor on frame 3, upper body armor. So, and because that's an upper body motion, the ball is going to be hitting upper body, because that plane of motion of the ball is going to be on our upper body territory. We're going to block that with our armor. We're going to have armor against that. So that's cool, right? Okay, so that's good. Anyway, so light punch with Menat, without the crystal ball, anything medium, any normal medium or heavy, medium or hard hit is going to be safe. When Menat has the crystal ball in her hand, you are no longer safe by default. You're no longer safe with that medium punch. You're gonna have to either get yourself in close, you're gonna have to time it right, you're gonna have to have frame advantage so you can hit her. So with the crystal ball, it's heavy and up, and actually I would say, yeah, we can actually catch her with that. If she can't hit, wait a minute. She can't hit us, but we can hit her. Okay, yeah, so heavy is going to work. Heavy kick, heavy punch. You will have the advantage of range. You can safely punish her with that. Okay? So that's going to cover it for normals. Being able to deal with Menat's light punch and covering it with normals. Okay, so I know that's kind of lengthy explanation. I just like to kind of look at this stuff and experiment with this stuff, because this is practical. And this is very, very valuable. If she has the crystal ball, you basically need to start doing hard punches and hard kicks. If she doesn't have the crystal ball in her hand, you're going to be pretty safe with mediums and heavies, or medium and hard hits. Okay, that's as a general rule of thumb. Now, we don't know about her standing kicks without the crystal ball, stuff like that. We haven't gotten that far yet. But as far as her punches go, or light punches go, without the ball, we're pretty darn safe. With the ball, we're still pretty safe. We just gotta use the hard punches and hard kicks so we can catch her before she catches us. Now look at, all right, now I'm gonna turn her off on that because we don't want her doing that anymore. I want to show you guys a counter. We can SBD counter this, okay? We can do that. Let's get her back. So she's set her up. If you go into the training mode, so you can practice this, because I'd recommend practicing this as you follow through my video and you're watching it here. But you can do this on your Street Fighter V as well. Go into the settings, set the dummy for guard all, and then go ahead and record that light punch. I've already done it. If you guys aren't familiar with how to do this, you know, maybe I can do a video. Maybe I could just do it right here. Basically, okay, I screwed that up. Let's see, we gotta get it. Oh. I get the timing right there on that. I always screw that up. Not very good at that. It's pretty much right when the right when she's done blocking, you have to input that. Hopefully, I can get it for the sake of the video. I'd hate to not get that right now. But anyway, oh well. I'll have to practice that one more, so sorry about that. At any rate, I already have it. I have it on slot 1, so that's something I need to practice, is recording guard inputs. But anyway, let's get going with this, because I don't want to take up all day on this. Record guard recovery. So record first, and then playback after. So I've got recording slot 1 is set to play, okay? So whenever I hit her, she's gonna hit me back, because I actually did it right the first time I recorded this. When I wasn't actually recording it for you guys, I actually inputted it properly. So what she's gonna do is every time I hit her, she's gonna record. She's gonna counterattack me with a light punch. Now, she has the ball in her hand, right? So the tricky part here is she has more range with that ball, but she also has an extra frame of startup, right? We looked at that at the beginning of the video. 4 startup frames without the crystal ball, 5 startup frames with the crystal ball. So we've got 5 frames advantage. She's going to take 5 frames to start up on the counter. So we've got 5 frames before she actually hits us with that ball. But then, how many frame advantage do we have because we hit her in the first place? We have three, if I remember right, it is three frames of advantage for Zangief when he hits you with a standing light punch. Standing light punch on guard, advantage on guard was 3 frames. So you have to take her 5 startup and the 3 frame advantage we have, and that gives us 8 frames. Well, screw pile driver on all levels of strength, light punch, medium punch, hard punch, is always 5 frames of startup. Actually, the EX as well. It's all 5 frames of startup. So if we have 8 frames to work with, and we should be able to get that, right? And we find out that we can. The only thing I will say is the input's got to be pretty quick, because you only have a couple frames to work with, three frames to work with, roughly. You know, assuming all things else are equal. It's not perfect. So watch this. So if we do the light punch, and she's gonna counter me, but before she counters me, I'm gonna SPD her, right? Okay, you just saw it. I literally hit her, and this is what she's supposed to do, right? She's trying as hard as she can to counter me with a light punch. But because that light punch with the crystal ball is a 5 frame startup, and because I chose to hit her with my standing light punch, even though she guarded the light punch, she's at -3 frames. She's got to spend 3 frames recovering from my hit. Even though she guarded it, she's still at -3, because we're +3. She's -3. So she has to recover from those 3 frames from my hit. She has to recover 3 frames from that. But then she's got to take 5 frames to actually throw out the punch, the light punch. So that's 8 frames of room to work with, and only a 5 on startup for the SPD. So it's very much possible. Again, any level of SPD can work here. The only trick is, if you're gonna do, I just did a hard punch right there, SPD. The only trick is, if you're gonna do the hard punch SPD, what was I gonna say on that? I don't know. Well, anyway, the input is pretty much gonna be the same on all of them as far as how quick you are on input. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Depending on your positioning with Zangief, when you actually land that standing light punch, you might need to do the light punch version of the SPD, because if you're further away, the light punch gives you the best grabbing range. But look how far away we are. You know, if I land that, we're far away. But this is not a SPD video, so I'm not gonna elaborate on that too much. But we do know that the light punch SPD has the best grab range. I'm just trying to work her back into the middle. So depending on when you land that light punch, you may have to do the light SPD. So just keep that in mind. If you're right on top of her, then no, you don't have to worry about distance. Then you can go ahead and do that hard punch SPD counter, because you're right on top of her. The frame data is Zangief has the advantage. The frame data says Zangief has a time to do an SPD. That's what the frame data shows us. We have 8 frames to work with. We only need 5 to do the SPD. Even medium, right? That's a medium SPD. You won't notice any difference other than the damage output. 180 for light, 200 for medium, and 220 for hard punch SPD, respectively. 180, 200, and 220. Stun damage is always 250 on those. The only time the stun damage goes up is on the EX. I have a full meter. I'll go ahead and do the EX so you guys can see it. The EX is, I think, 300 points of stun damage and 220 damage. Same as the heavy punch, same as the hard punch, but it has 300 stun as opposed to 250. So the advantage is going to be there. Plus you get invisibility, throw invisibility on frames 1 through 5 with the EX SPD. But that doesn't matter in this case, because in this particular setup, she can't do a throw anyway, and I've got her set up to actually counter with the light punch, because we're talking about light punch for the sake of this video. So you can even do the EX SPD. There's no advantage to it other than the stun other than the stun points, there is no other advantage. So yeah, if you've got the meter, go ahead and throw out the EX. I would. I mean, Menat is a tough character and very defensive and pushing you away constantly. So if you can get a hold of her, by all means, if you happen to jump in and you land that light punch and you land that light punch, you're gonna get an SPD. Go ahead and grab the EX. Now, if you're too far away, I don't think the EX will work if you're too far away. I've got the meter set for normal here. Let's go infinite. And while we're at it, we'll just do that infinite as well. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, just so we can practice this. The EX, the range looks like the range is pretty good. I don't know confirmation on that. If the range is, it'll miss right there, but the light SPD does too. So it's tricky on that. Get the range test. This is not really a video on Zangief's range test on his SPDs, but I guess it was worth mentioning. Anyway, I guess the take-home message there is that if you're close enough, go ahead and don't be afraid to do the EX, because the EX SPD has the same startup. All SPDs are 5 frame startup. So in this scenario, you've got 8 frames to work with, plenty of time to do any version of the SPD that you please. Just keep in mind, if you are more at range when you catch her, let's go the light SPD range. Jeez, I get it now. That wasn't even the right timer. I did the crouching light punch. If you caught that. But if you're a little bit further away, do the light SPD, because now I'm so not gonna get it, really. Okay, there we go. If you got a little bit of gap between you and her, do the light SPD. If you're right on top of her, go ahead and do the heavy, because you want more damage every single time you can get it. So why not? But if you're having trouble getting in on her and you just barely got enough range to catch her with the light punch and the standing light punch in the first place, then I would opt, if you're even gonna be able to land the SPD, then the best. And when I say that, I'm talking about range at this point, because we already know argumentably frame advantage. She's not going to be able to counter your SPD with that light punch. Light kick, her fastest move with 3 frames. Well, we'll talk about that when it comes time. Technically, even then, if you were doing the light punch, you would be able to do it because you'd have 6 frames to work with. But we'll talk about that when that video comes along. Technically, you'd be able to do it, but it might be an input issue. If you're not lightning fast, you might not be able to counter it. But we will test that come time. But this is just for the light punch. For the sake of light punch, if you got a little bit of range, go ahead and use the light. If you're right on top of her, go ahead and use the strongest you've got. If you do have the EX meter, go ahead and let that rip. You're gonna get the best stun damage. Build up her meter, follow up with a headbutt or whatever. She's gonna block everything, so she's not gonna let me do that. But whatever. You could build up her stun meter a lot faster if you pop the EX. Alright, so I think that's gonna do it for the light punch, guys. Yeah, one more thing though. I did not. I want to cover. I know this video is lasting a long time. I want to cover without the crystal ball in her hand what that looks like on counters here, because that's important, because she's gonna lose range, but she's gonna gain startup power, a startup frame. Startup frame with the ball is 5 for the light punch. Startup frame without the crystal ball is 4. So she gains 1 frame of advantage. Zangief still holds the advantage though. When he does the light punch, he has 3 points of advantage, frame advantage, and then she still needs 4 more to do that punch. So that's a total of 7 to work with. SPD's only 5. Still should have no problem doing it. Oh, now she's not. Okay, we have to go back. She's not gonna do it. Okay. I don't know. I think we have to. Oops. We just have to make sure it's on. Okay, I guess once you go to that menu, you just have to go back to the menu. Okay, so there we go. So now she's countered. Okay, so now let's see. Right? Yes. Yes. We still can do the SPD because there's 7 frames to work with. There's no reason why we can't do that, because she only has she's -3, after the standing light punch from Zangief, she's -3, and then she's going to turn around and do the light punch, which, yes, she did gain 1 frame. We discussed that. She gained 1 frame of speed, but we have so many frame advantages there that we can capitalize on that. Now, one thing we do have to be a little careful of, though, is she does have 1 frame advantage. So if we're not lightning quick with that input, we're gonna miss it. So we do need to be fast with input. This is where practicing SPD input is very beneficial, but you could probably do that in collaboration with this specific attack. Have her set for standing light punch. Practice it without, start with the ball, right? Start with the ball so it's a little slower and you have more time to do the input. Then start having her counter without the ball and see if you can still do the input quick enough, because you're going to lose 1 frame of advantage, so you're going to have to do the input a little bit quicker. This is another way to train Zangief's SPD for yourself to be a little bit faster at the SPD input, so that when you actually get the opportunity to do it, you can see, are you going to be fast enough to do it? Okay? Now, one last thing. I mentioned the medium punch for Zangief. If you do that, you're gonna lose a frame of advantage. It is possible, though, to land the SPD after doing that, but you're gonna need to do the light SPD. I'm pretty sure, unless you're right on top of her, then you could do. Then you can still do a stronger SPD, I think. Let me make sure that's right before I say that. Sorry guys, I didn't practice this a lot before I actually created this video. This is pretty fun because I'm learning this as I'm teaching you guys or sharing with you guys. I'm doing it too, so it's pretty fun. I'm having trouble actually landing a stronger version. It could just be my input. It's a little trickier with that medium punch because you have to do it. Your timing's got to be a little different here. But anyway, it does look like. And keep in mind too, without the crystal ball, her range is not as good. So even if your timing isn't as good, you should be able to still pick up that light SPD, because the light SPD has very nice range, probably more range than her punch does in this case. In this case, I would say so. Yeah, definitely the light SPD has more range than her light punch does. If I could ever get this right here. So, anyway, it's a little trickier with that. That's why I'm having so much trouble, because when I did the when I did the light punch and countered with the SPD, I found that a little simpler in a lot of ways. And it could just mean I want to work on my input with the SPD. You know, just a little bit there. But anyway, it is possible, because if you look at the frame data, okay, so you can see this. You're in her face, and her natural instincts are going to be, I got to get him off me. Light punch, light punch, light punch. I want to push him back. We talked about how the light punch has pushback to it, right? If I let her hit me, we see it has pushback. That's a good idea. That light punch is a pretty smart approach, because it's a very fast move for her. Zangief's slower than her anyway, generally. Almost every move has a slower startup. So she's going to have the speed advantage. That's a pretty good counter, especially if she doesn't, especially if she gets a preemptive. Say she does the light punch before we attack her, she's going to have the advantage. So anyway, you know, we can see that here, right? We walk up to her and she's doing it. Boom, she hits us and she has the advantage. So that's going to be her natural default setting. Like anybody playing Menat would, like, if they see Zangief on her, they're gonna try to push Zangief back. They don't want Zangief in their face. They're gonna try to push you back, and that's probably gonna be one of the moves they do. They use. So if you're in range, you know about where to expect her range. Without the ball, it's pretty small range of motion. A much more significant range with the ball in her hands, but you still know that you can move in and do the standing light punch. And you know that that light punch, you can go into the SPD as long as you catch that light punch. That was kind of my earlier point. As long as you can catch that light punch, you can hit her with the SPD before she can counter you with the light punch. So should she decide to counter you with a light punch, she's gonna lose that. She's gonna lose that little shuffle. She's not gonna be able to do it in time. You have enough frames to work with, and you can land the SPD. So, all right, guys. So hopefully I really hope this video helps you guys a lot, because this is something that I wanted to help you guys with in fighting Menat. So I will keep working on these videos. 0.4 will be coming along hopefully soon. That's going to be I'm going to be discussing standing medium punch with and without the crystal ball. I'll talk about, again, I'll do something similar. I'll talk about basic strategies and basic counters on that. So that's going to come soon. Thank you for all your time, guys. I know this is long-winded. If you don't have a lot of time, and I apologize if this took so long, I just wanted to make sure I covered things fully so we get a good handle on what the moves are capable of, and we get used to looking at the range of the attacks, the frame data of the attacks, possible counter attacks we can use as Zangief players. That's important to note. So Menat players are going to use their faster moves, and the light punch is definitely one of her fastest. It's like the second or third fastest standing move that she has. Actually, it's technically her second fastest standing move, because the only one faster is her standing light kick. When we get to that video, we'll talk about that. But that's 3 frames. That's her quickest move standing up. But this is pretty darn close. It's actually a 4 without the crystal ball and 5 with it. Again, that range comes into play because it takes longer. Because the 5 frame startup with the ball takes longer, but she has more range to work with, which means she can poke me out here instead of having to wait until I'm this close. She can hit me back out here, which gives her a nice little advantage. But if she does happen to throw the ball and I'm right on top of her, she hits that light punch. We know the range on it, so we can block it. We know basically if we're in her face, we're gonna have to block that. But if we get the advantage and we hit her with a light punch, we know that we can counter with the SPD, because we've already done the frame data math, and we know that we have significant advantage over her when we're doing the light punch, when we're doing Zangief's standing light punch. So that's important to note, and something you can take with you when you're training with Menat. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Take care.